A lot of people say that the GR Yaris is a very overhyped car. It costs a bit more than it should. It's not particularly fast, yet people rave about these cars all over the world. Is there any truth to it? This car, if anything, represents handling. And in my view, this is the best handling car south of a Porsche. I've driven many vehicles, M's, RS's, AMG's, all the Japanese hot hatches, MX-5, what have you. And the GR Yaris blows them all away. And here's how. The steering on the GR Yaris doesn't have a lot of feel. You don't get any of the tire feel through the steering. Weighted really nicely, right? It's weighted almost as if there's no power steering, so I like that natural weight of the GR Yaris. The BMW I owned, when I put it into Sport Plus or Sport Mode, the steering became heavy, but you could feel as if it was synthetic. The GR Yaris, in my version at least, has only one setting. It feels very natural and very much as if you're not using any electrical assist. It's just a heavy steering. But there is no tire feel or road feel coming back. All of that changes when you enter a bend, and this is what happens. As soon as you enter a bend, guys, the car comes alive. I don't know how Toyota did it. It's obviously it was rally developed, so there must be something to it. But as soon as you enter a corner and you're in the corner, every part of the car is giving you feedback. The body of the car starts telling you how the car's feeling. The suspension, you start feeling all the little bumps. You start feeling the softness, the hardness. You start feeling the road camber. It's ridiculous. The steering, it comes alive. All of a sudden, the steering, which was pretty lifeless, is now telling you what's happening with the tires. And for some weird reason, and I've driven so many cars where I could see the bonnet, and the GR Yaris I can't even see the bonnet. For some reason, the steering and the tires can be placed exactly where you want. You've got this mind-car connection where you know where your tires are on the road. It's so uncanny. All of a sudden, that's happening. And then your engine starts buzzing in those high RPMs. The engine, the 3-cylinder, it's such a special motor. It's not fast. It's got a lot of turbo and boost restrictions, and I've got another video on my page where I discuss that, all the Toyota nannies, and they do it to achieve that 10-year warranty. But when the engine comes alive, when it's heated up, when it knows you're hitting on it, it's just buzzing, and you get all that feedback through the car. The whole car is buzzing. Those 3 cylinders are buzzing, and you know exactly how you are in that corner. You know exactly where your car is, what the limits of the grip are, and how you're going to get out of that corner. And then the car starts pushing very progressively. GR Yaris, it doesn't like to oversteer, it doesn't like to understeer. It just likes to start pushing out. It just says, look, I'm reaching the levels of my grip. The front's not going to give up. The back's not going to give up, right? Both sides of the car, they're fighting. They're saying, nope, it's not going to be me. It's not going to be me. And they both start slowly giving up, and the car starts washing out. It's so gradual. It's the most gradual thing. And you start to feel the car just wash out. And at that time, you could trim your line, reduce your acceleration, you could press on the brakes, and then the car will get you out of that corner. Unless you've driven the GR Yaris at those 9/10ths, at the 10/10ths, it's very difficult to truly understand. But I think a lot of you, if any of you are watching this video and you've taken your GR Yaris to track, you'd know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't have the circuit pack or the rally edition. I've got the open diff Yaris, and still I've got that level of grip. So imagine with the LSDs. I mean, I would be mind blown if the grip was more than this, because it's already so much. How much more do you need out of a car? So that handling alone, I think, makes the GR Yaris very much worth the hype, because it's not hyped to the extent a G80 M3 is, or a lot of the current M cars or AMG cars. It's hyped, but to a regular extent, and I think the handling more than makes up for that hype. The other thing I really noticed is that the GR Yaris has a capacity to make you a bad driver. And how's that? Well, the brakes on the GR Yaris are huge. Actually, the diameter of the brakes is bigger than the Supra at the front, along with the low weight, because it's around 1,200 kilos, which is really light for an all-wheel drive car. What it means is you can stop on a dime. What you'll do is you'll start going into corners at ridiculous speeds. You'll say, okay, I'm just going to send it. The car can handle most speeds, right? It'll actually make it through the corner. And I've been in situations where I've done that so much. Just because the car has so much immense grip, I've got so much confidence in the brakes and the body that I've got into corners so hard that I start getting brake fade. Then I have to manage my brakes. And the confidence is huge, because for a lot of cars, I've driven so many cars, when you step on the brakes, the rear gets a bit shaky, right? You get a bit of lift off oversteer, you get a bit of rotation. The GR Yaris is so neutral. You step on the brakes, the rear, it's tight. You step on the brakes, you start turning, the rear does almost nothing. It says, okay, makes you a worse driver, because that's not the way you should be driving your car. You've got to optimize your corner entry. You've got to take the right speed, and you can't just go in at 200 k's an hour, go on the brakes, and then you'll have to start managing brake fade. It has the capacity to make you a pretty bad driver because of how good the car is. I'll go more in depth on the car and how I feel about it in future videos. I'll talk to you next time.